Mongolia is known as the land of the blue sky. That's because people here enjoy more than 250 sunny days a year. Landlocked between China and Russia, it's one of the world's least densely populated countries. With just over 3 million people, more than half live in the bustling capital city of Ulaanbaatar. The rest of Mongolia, which is roughly 3 times the size of France, looks like this: vast, treeless grasslands where most people live a nomadic lifestyle, raising sheep, goats, cattle, camels, and horses. And as I discovered, there are hardly any paved roads. First time driving here in Mongolia. I grew up in Africa. I loved driving a stick shift, so I'm very, very comfortable on these kinds of roads. So this is fantastic, and there's no traffic. I recently joined 46 Christians from neighboring Russia, heading to remote Western Mongolia, where few have heard the message of Christ's love. Pavel Barsukov led the mission.
The heart of my Lord Jesus Christ is for the lost and hurting. I want to have the same heart.
For 9 years, Barsukov has made dozens of trips to Mongolia, bringing along young Russian Christians trained and equipped to serve as possible missionaries and evangelists. 17-year-old Elena told CBN News she got the call to missions at a young age. This is her 3rd visit to Mongolia.
I read a book about a missionary in a foreign country, and since then, I have had this burning desire to share God's love with people.
This is Natasha Gorodnuk's first trip. She wants to serve in Nepal.
Every time I think about it, my heart breaks, because I know the calling on my life, and I know what I'm supposed to do.
For several weeks, Natasha, Elena, and 4 dozen other Russians partnered with Mongolian Christians to hold evangelistic camps for young people.
We started working together with our Russian brothers and sisters several years ago to reach my people with God's love. What we are doing is vital for changing hearts and minds.
In between playing games and enjoying other outdoor activities, camp organizers like Natasha Grishenko introduce Mongolians to Christianity. This is her 10th visit.
These kids are the future of Mongolia. They are future pastors, future church planters, and possibly future leaders of this country. God willing, they will carry the gospel in their hearts and impact their nation for Christ.
Understand the truth with me.
Amen. Amen. To better appreciate the significance of these camps, you have to understand the history of Christianity here in Mongolia. Shortly after the fall of communism, there were only 10 believers in the entire country. Today, some 26 years later, some 60,000 believers are spread across this vast nation.
We are in a remote western part of Mongolia, and it is still one of the most unreached places in the world.
Michael Cherenkov with Mission Eurasia co-sponsors the camps. His group focuses on raising the next generation of Christian leaders in countries of the former Soviet Union and surrounding nations.
Sometimes we think that people around the world know about Jesus, but there are places like this that haven't been touched by the gospel.
And so, camps like this one serve as an ideal ground for sharing the gospel. Whoa! With young people. Lives like that of 22-year-old Buyana Davasumbu. She accepted Christ while attending camp here as a little girl. She graduated from Bible College in May and is now preparing to go on the mission field.
This camp was foundational to knowing God's love and preparing my heart to be a missionary. I try to come back every year to share my experiences of how I encountered Christ.
For others like 16-year-old Mashbat Bassan, a Buddhist, this was the first time learning about Christianity.
I learned in the Bible study today that God created the heavens and the earth, the animals and creatures of the sea. I never knew of these stories before.
This is also Kilian Makmardor's first camp experience.
Many Mongolians don't believe in Jesus, and before I came to the camp, I also thought I didn't need to know anything about him. But now my heart has changed, and I've learned so much more about Christianity.
In all, some 1,000 young Mongolians heard the gospel, many of them for the first time.
I know there's all this controversy about Trump and alleged Russian collusion, but I encourage Christians in both of our countries not to focus on this. Millions of people around the world are going to hell because they don't know Jesus Christ. I'm not interested in politics. I'm interested about telling people about Jesus. Lives are in the balance, and we are commanded to go and tell others about Christ's love. This is what we are doing here in Mongolia.